You guys have been asking me a bunch of questions in the YouTube comments, and I do see every single one of your comments and I do reply to every single one of your comments. However, when the question's a little bit more complicated, it's difficult for me to answer the question without my trusty whiteboard and Ollie the owl. So to make it easier for me to explain and easier for you to understand, in this video, I'm going to be answering all your toughest KDP questions that you've commented. But anyway, let's get straight into it. Oscar the Clever Mind says, hey Barry, Sean Dowless told in one of his videos about ads that is a good thing to run auto campaigns after 2 weeks from launching ads because algorithm is learning about what our book is about and it's better targeted than for the auto campaign. Are you agree, or you're launching auto campaigns on the very beginning? And second question, well, let's just answer the first question first. Well, actually, no, let me read it. Second question, you said in one of your fresh vids that you normally don't use exact keywords campaign. My question is why? Awesome. Okay, so Sean teaches about 2 weeks after you launch your book to run auto campaigns. Well, personally, obviously, everyone's strategy is different. Sean's strategy might work. I haven't tested it. I know my one works, but I haven't tested Sean's one. Obviously, Sean one's can work as well. Again, haven't tested it, so I can't know. But when it comes to auto campaigns, I still think 2 weeks is a little bit too early. Now, why is that? Because you're launching your book and your book is brand new. It has no data or anything. So 2 weeks might not be a lot of data for Amazon to understand where to place your book. Now, bear in mind, when you measure data, usually, especially during launch, you don't actually measure data in time. You just measure data in amount of data, if that makes sense. Just like I'm not going to measure the volume of a milk can or like a milk bottle. I'm not going to measure the volume of it in centimeters. It doesn't make any sense. So if you let 2 weeks go by and you have no data, obviously 2 weeks is not the factor that you're looking at. So it's not about launching your auto campaign after 2 weeks. It's about launching your auto campaign when you have enough data. Now, during the first 2 weeks, if you're gathering a bunch of data and you get a bunch of sales, let's say you have like 200 sales your first 2 weeks, great. You're getting data pretty quickly. Obviously, if you have the budget to run the ads and all of that, that's without question. But if you start collecting the data, then you can launch auto campaigns and then start positioning in the same place, in the correct place. But if you just rely on time instead of amount of data, then this is not even a factor. You shouldn't even consider the time. You should consider when you have enough data to launch auto campaigns, because auto campaigns looks at your previous sales data. So if I made 5 sales and these 3 sales came from the same keyword, so this keyword brought in 3 different sales, then Amazon knows, hey, this keyword is actually pretty good. It's working for this book. So when you launch an auto campaign, what it's going to do is it's going to say, okay, well, since it sold for these, it got 3 sales for this keyword, let me just target this keyword in auto campaign. And usually auto campaigns, they might give you a lower cost per click. However, it wouldn't know to find this keyword unless you got sales for it first. Now, if you just rely on 2 weeks, you got no sales data. Well, you might have sales data, but if you just wait for the data to gather, sometimes that can be a month. Sometimes it could be 2 months. I've been running a book for the past 4 months. I still haven't launched auto campaigns. Now, I'm not saying that's what you should do because every single book is different. Every single book gathers a different amount of data in a different amount of time. Again, based on your budget, based on how good your conversion rate is. So there's so many factors to think about when launching auto campaigns. Now, obviously, if you're part of my program, you know exactly when to launch auto campaigns, but usually I would wait for at least 300 to 400 pieces of sales data. Now, the more accurate these sales are, so in other words, the more hyper-targeted these sales are, so you get the sales from keywords that are actually relevant to your book, not just random broad keywords, then Amazon's going to have a good understanding of what your book is. And once you get 400 sales or 300 sales in ads, just from ads, I wouldn't really count organic because, again, we don't know if those sales came from targeted keywords or not. So if we have 400 pieces of ad sales data, then great. That's when I think that would be a good time to launch auto campaigns. Now, it's going to take a different amount of time for different books and different people and different budgets to reach this number, but that's the number that I would reach. I'm not saying you should go out there and wait for 400 sales because I haven't seen your book. I can't tell you what to do if I haven't seen your book. I can't predict what your book is, how good your book is performing, how well your targeting is. I can't predict any of that. But if you have 300 or 400 pieces of sales data, then that's a good time to launch auto campaigns because you're basically making it as easy as possible for the auto campaign to show you for what already works for you, and it's going to know what else is going to work for you at a lower cost per click. I hope that makes sense. Now, also, you have a second question. You said in one of your first vids that you normally don't use exact keywords campaign. My question is why? Okay, good question. Why don't I use exact match campaigns? or exact keyword campaigns? Well, the answer is super, super simple, to be honest. So when we're targeting keywords, usually we'll have broad match, we might have phrase match, and then we might have exact match. So the same keyword, let's say our keyword is, let's pick any keyword, dinosaur. Why do I always pick the hard ones? Okay, let me just say Indian cookbook. Okay, we're targeting Indian cookbook in broad match, in phrase match, and an exact match. Now, the thing is, in broad match and phrase match, what this is going to do is it's going to start finding other keywords. So it might find Indian cookbook for beginners, Indian cookbook for kids, Indian cookbook for moms, Indian cookbook for men. So we'll start finding other keywords. So this one is extremely powerful. Now, that's exactly what phrase match is going to do as well. Start finding other keywords, obviously in a different way. But what exact match is going to do is it's going to say, hey, don't find any keywords. I want you to target only this keyword. Now, because you're telling Amazon, hey, only this keyword, I'm super confident in this keyword. What Amazon is going to do is going to say, okay, well, you have to bid more for it. So usually in exact match, the same keyword. So if you get shown for Indian cookbook in broad match, you're usually going to have a lower cost per click than if you're shown for Indian cookbook in exact match. Usually, not every single time, but usually. So exact match is extremely expensive. Now, the thing is, I do run exact match only when the book is ready for exact match. So only when I have enough data that says, hey, yeah, this keyword actually works, you should target it, then I would run exact match. And obviously, exact match gives you more control because you can literally pick the bid that you want for a specific keyword or a specific search term in our case, and you're good to go. Let's move on to the next question. What's the name of your video that talks about helping people use descriptions to help people find your book? Honestly, I have so many videos and I probably don't have the best titles for the videos, so I can't even find them myself, to be honest. But I can remember what I talked about in that video. And here's exactly what I talked about. Now, let's say I give you a book. I tell you to blindfold yourself and I give you a random book. Now, you're blindfolded, you can't see anything about the book. Do you know what the book is? Can you tell me at least the subject or who it's for? Can you tell me anything about the book if you're blindfolded and you have your book in your hands? Probably not. You have literally no information about the book. So you have no idea what this book even is. Now, what if I told you that the title of the book is The Ultimate Camping Bible? Now do you have a better understanding of what this book might be? Well, now, yeah, you can basically look at certain keywords and think, okay, well, this is probably a camping book, right? Because it has the word camping in the title. So now you're like, okay, well, at least I know that I have a camping book in my hands. Now, you just know the title. What if you read the description? Would you be able to better figure out what the book is about if you read the description? Probably, right? So let's say your description says, let me just write it out and then I'll skip it. Okay, so let's say it says, learn how to set up your first 10, cook food in the woods and start your own fire. Perfect for 8 to 10-year-old explorers. So before, when we only had the title, we knew that it's camping. So it's a camping book, but we had no other information. We know that it's related to camping, but we don't know who it's for. Is it for kids? Is it for adults? Is it for women? Is it for men? Is it for seniors? Who is it for? Is it for experienced campers? Is it for someone that's brand new? We have no idea. But if we were able to read the description, let's say this is just one sentence in the description, and it says, learn how to set up your first tent, cook food in the woods, and start your own fire. Perfect for 8 to 10-year-old explorers. Who do you think this book is for? Well, it says it right here, 8 to 10-year-old explorers. This is who the book is for. So now, just from reading the title of the book and reading the description of the book, we can extract keywords inside the description and the title so we can figure out what the book is about. That's exactly what Amazon does. It's going to read your title, it's going to read your description, it's going to extract certain keywords, and Amazon is smart. And obviously, you're smart if you did the correct keyword research and then implemented the correct keywords in your description and title. Then you're very smart because you're giving Amazon what it needs. Now, when Amazon reads these words, it doesn't just say, okay, I know what this book is about, that's it. It says, okay, I know what this book is about. Let me try and put it in the correct places. Let me try and show it to people searching for these type of books. And then let me see how this book performs. So it's extremely important to actually have the correct SEO in your description and your title in order to help Amazon push your book in the right places and you can actually start making sales. Because if you're not shown in the correct place, then you're not showing in front of the correct people that are going to buy your book. So if I don't put the keyword 8 to 10-year-old explorers and I only just put camping everywhere, guess what? Amazon's going to start testing it for camping for adults, camping for beginners, camping for seniors, camping for men. And none of it's going to work. So what's that going to tell Amazon? It's going to tell Amazon, oh, this is a shit book. Don't push it forward. Don't rank it higher. It's not good. But if we tell Amazon, hey, this is for 8 to 10-year-olds, great. Now Amazon can start testing it for kids keywords or for 8 to 10-year-olds or for boys. Now, it's not just a target audience, it's everything else. Obviously, when you do your keyword research, you know what the good keywords are. But we need to give Amazon the correct information in order to show us in the correct places and for us to start making sales. I hope that answers your question. Let's move on to the next one. How do I know a book is black and white? That's actually a good question. There's multiple ways to see it, but some of them are reliable, some of them are not so reliable. Let me show you. So the first way is actually the look inside. Now, I know before you start shouting at me, oh, but sometimes the look inside shows you colored images, but it's actually black and white. I understand that, I know. But sometimes the look inside shows you black and white. So if you go on the look inside, and there's images inside the book, so it's formatted, it's got all the text, and there's an image inside the book. If that image is black and white, then obviously there's a higher chance that the book is actually going to be black and white. Because that means they uploaded the book in black and white, so it's going to be printed in black and white. Even if they uploaded the book and they chose colored printing, it's still going to print in black and white because they uploaded it in black and white. Now, because they uploaded it in black and white, you see it in the look inside in black and white. However, sometimes the books are colored, okay? They are uploaded colored. And then because it's uploaded colored, in the look inside, it will be shown as colored. However, even if it's shown as colored in the look inside, if the publisher selects black and white printing, then it will still show up as colored in the look inside, but it will actually print in black and white. So when people buy it, it's going to be a black and white book. However, it seems like they were baited a little bit. So it's like they scammed them in a way, which is obviously terrible. So the look inside is not the most effective way. However, sometimes you do go in the look inside and you can tell from the images, okay, all the images are black and white, even though they're supposed to be colored images. So it's probably going to be a black and white book. However, if you see the look inside and it's colored, and then you still don't know if it's black and white, you can move on to the second step, which is the A+ content. Now, sometimes in the A+ content, again, because the publisher can control it, sometimes they're going to show their book as colored, even though it's actually black and white. But sometimes they're actually going to show that it's black and white, just so they don't get all the negative reviews afterwards, which is what the smart person would do. Now, in the A+ content, if it's colored, but you still have considerations, you still think it might be black and white, then great. Now you can move on to the reviews. Now, the reviews, again, is a little bit difficult because there has to be image reviews. Now, most of the times, if they're buying reviews from Puppy and things like that, then they might put Kindle book reviews. Now, obviously, the Kindle, you can have it colored and it's all good. It's not the print version. But sometimes they'll put images inside the reviews of the print version of the book. And then sometimes they just take images of the interior and you can see that it's black and white. Other times, they also put videos. So you can check out a publisher's review, maybe a customer's review, and they might have added a video. And then in the video, they could scroll through the book and you can see if it's black and white or not. This is basically the only ways you can do this on Amazon. Now, if none of these apply, then there's literally only one thing left to do, and that's just to buy the book and see for yourself. Now, you might say, hey, it's not worth it for me to pay $10 or $20 to see if it's black and white. Well, great. That's a publishing decision that you have to make as a publisher and as a business. If it's worth buying the book to see if it's black and white, or even if it's worth buying the book to see how you can make it better. But again, it depends on how you think as a publisher. Anyway, I hope this answers your question. Let's move on to the next one. Hey, Barry, really helpful video as always. Thank you. Appreciate that. A little off topic of a question, but when you're looking at CTR, are you considering the overall CTR or that of an individual keyword? Thanks a lot. No problem. That's actually a very, very good question. I've been meaning to answer this question because it's a question I get a lot. How do we determine the CTR? And what's even a good CTR? Well, first of all, we need to understand what CTR is. So CTR is your click-through rate. I think I need to change markers. I'm not sure. Let me test out a new marker, see if it looks better. Of course I dropped it. This basically means if 1,000 people saw your book, how many of those thousands of people or 1,000 people that actually saw your book, how many of them clicked on your book? That's all it means. So let's say 10 people clicked, then you're going to find what's the percentage of 1,000, I don't even know how to say this. What percent of clicks came from here, essentially? So 1,000 people saw your book and 10 of them clicked, which means you have is it a 1% click-through rate? I think that's a 1%. So 1% of 1,000 is 10. I think that's right. So basically 1% essentially means that your book has a good click-through rate. Now, what does a good click-through rate actually mean? Well, it means someone saw the book and they were like, yes, this is the book that I want. So they clicked on it. Now, in order for them to say, yes, this is the book that I want, that means that that book must be relevant to them. I got a new marker. It is better. Anyway, it is relevant to them. So if we see that our click-through rate is low, that probably means that our book seems irrelevant to our target audience. Now, if we have a super accurate keyword, so if we have Indian cookbook for beginners and someone searches Indian cookbook for beginners and then our click-through rate is 0.1%, then our book isn't relevant to them, even if that's what our book is. So obviously, we need to start making some changes. Now, usually your click-through rate is purely based on your book cover. So there's probably going to have to be something that you need to amplify with your cover in order to make it resonate or more relevant to your audience, so you can increase your click-through rate, if that makes sense. But your question is, do I look at one individual keyword? Do I look at it as a whole, or what do I do? Do I look at multiple keywords? Well, the thing is, we're trying to see how our book is performing throughout multiple areas on Amazon, because what we're trying to see is not, hey, are our click-through rate numbers good? We're trying to see, hey, where is my book most relevant in, based on how it is now. Now, the most accurate way to see this is with the search terms. So if you go on your Amazon Ads dashboard and you go inside a campaign, and then inside that campaign, you go inside the ad group, then under targeting, I think you can see search terms. This is the final long tail keyword, or the final thing someone searched on the Amazon search bar and then clicked on your book and bought. So you can see the final thing they typed. Sometimes they'll type cookbook, and then they're like, oh, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for an Indian cookbook. And then they're like, oh, you know what? It's coming up with a bunch of kids Indian cookbooks. I want one for adults. So they're gonna search again, Indian cookbook for adults. And then they're gonna say, oh, all of those kind of look a little bit professional. I want an easy one. So they're gonna add easy Indian cookbook for adults. I'm just gonna write it here because it's much easier. No pun intended. And then yeah, on the search terms, you're going to see, okay, then you got a sale. And then you're going to see the search term that got a sale is easy Indian cookbook for adults. This got a sale. Okay. Now, because this is so accurate, this is a keyword that's super accurate. It's exactly what it's about. This is the keyword I want to look at. This is the one I want to analyze the CTR. Now, if I see this and the CTR is 0.2%, then I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's something I can do to increase my CTR. Maybe I should improve my cover. Now, if my CTR is like, I would say 0.35 and above, then great. That's basically average. If it's 0.5 and above, that's absolutely amazing. So anything above 0.5 is pretty good. Now your CTR is going to be different for different search terms, and you're going to have so many search terms. Now, if your search term is Indian cookbook, that's a little bit broad. Again, you can see how relevant it is. If it's low, that's okay because it's a broader keyword. And obviously, as your listing gets stronger, your CTR will get stronger as well, because you're going to see more reviews. You're going to constantly keep improving your book cover as well. So obviously, your book will improve as time goes on, if that's the kind of publisher you are. If you're just the kind of publisher that publishes a book, and then that's it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to do. But as soon as you publish your book, obviously you want to keep improving it and constantly keep improving it, because you already built the asset. You already did the hard part. Might as well, keep putting some effort in so you can extract the money. That's the most fun part. But people seem to give up as soon as they publish. Anyway, for the click-through rate, if I'm getting 0.5% or above for these accurate search terms, then great. Now for this one, there might be for adults, there might be for beginners, there might be for seniors. And then obviously you're going to look at all the click-through rates, and then you're going to see, okay, well, for adults, I'm getting 0.5. For beginners, I'm getting 0.7. And then for seniors, I'm getting 2%. And then you're going to say, okay, well, seniors are finding it very valuable. What you can do now is get this search term. And if you don't have that keyword in broad or phrase match, you can start adding that keyword, because hey, it might actually be relevant for seniors. So then you're constantly improving your strategy. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, in terms of keywords, I look at multiple search terms. I scroll through all my campaigns, and every single search term that got a sale, I kind of look at the click-through rate. Now, one very, very important thing. I don't look at the click-through rate if I don't have any data. Now, if I have 10 clicks and one sale, I'm not going to look at the click-through rate. One sale is it's not data. This might just be a random coincidence. But if I have 23 clicks and I have 4 sales, then great. Now I have a good amount of data, because I actually have 4 sales. I have multiple pieces of data that are telling me the same thing. Now, if I look at the click-through rate and it's 0.4%, I'm like, okay, my click-through rate is average. Or I'm going to say slightly above average. It's not amazing, possibly be improved, but it might improve by itself as it gathers more data, and then Amazon shows it in better positions, and then maybe you start paying more for ads because you get shown higher. Obviously, the higher you get shown in the rankings, obviously, the higher your click-through rate. So there's so many different factors that come into play. There's different things that you need to analyze and see. But I usually just look at the click-through rate just to determine the relevancy of my book according to specific search terms. Now, a funny story, actually, I published a basketball book, and I don't even know how this happened, but basically I published a basketball book. It was a basketball for boys, a basketball book for boys. Now, the thing is, I published my book, and turns out my cover was like this. So I just have a basketball hoop and a basketball, and everyone else's cover was just like a random guy dunking a basketball. Don't judge my drawings, yeah? It's the best I can do. So all the other covers in my niche had a guy dunking a basketball, and my one was a little bit more plain, a little bit more boring, and I just featured a basketball hoop with a basketball. Now here's the thing. All of my keywords were targeting males and boys 8 to 10-year-olds, kids, and things like that. Now, when I analyzed my campaigns, what I found is that I had a basketball book for girls start popping up in my search terms. And guess what? My click-through rate for all the girl target audience search terms was super high. I was getting like 1%, 1.5% click-through rates. I was getting very, very high percent click-through rates, obviously with a lot of data. Now I'm thinking, why are girls attracted to my book cover? And then I realized my book cover was the only one that resonated with girls because it didn't show a boy on the book cover and it didn't show a girl. So this one resonated with both girls and boys. I didn't even realize that at the time. Now, I only realized it until I analyzed the data from my search terms and looked at my click-through rate, and I'm thinking, okay, well, girls are finding it really relevant. So guess what? I stole all the girls from the marketplace because everyone in the niche had males on their book cover. So they were pushing away all the girls and they were just giving them to me, essentially. Now, I realized this because I looked at the click-through rate, which is why it's important to understand the data, understand what the data means, also leave enough time to gather the data so it's accurate, and then analyze it and then move forward having known this newfound data. So you're constantly improving your book. Now, in this case, I can just put this in the description so I can start indexing for more girly keywords. I can start putting or publish a new book that's specifically for girls if I want to target that. So there's so many things you can do just from looking at the click-through rate. I hope that answers your question. Let's move on to the next one. Another great video, Barry. Hoping you can bring up ISBN numbers in the future. Yep, I mean, this is a very simple question. First of all, I think it's ISBN. Can't remember what it stands for. International Standard Book Number, I think. Not 100% sure. But basically what this is just the number, that digit that they give for every single one of your books. So if you look at the barcode on your book, you're going to see an ISBN number. Every single published book must come with that number. It's almost like your code that's associated with your book. When it comes to ISBN numbers, if you upload on KDP, you basically get it for free. You don't have to pay for it. If you're using a traditional publisher, they're probably going to pay for it. But the thing is, you can also buy your own anyway. I haven't used ISBNs much. I only used Nelson. So I went on Nelson. It's a UK one. I got a bunch of ISBNs because I wanted to test this out myself. Because if you get an ISBN, if you buy your own ISBN and don't use the free one that Amazon gives, what you can do is you can control the publisher name that pops up on Amazon. So if you go on Amazon, you click on any book. If you scroll down to the information box, you can see the publisher name. Now, if you don't have your own ISBN and use Amazon's free one, then it's just going to say independently published or something like that. So people are going to know that your book is self-published. Now, if you buy your own ISBN, then you can control the publisher name that pops up. So your book will automatically look 100 times more professional if someone notices it. Now, the thing is, when it comes to ISBNs, if you're going to go out and buy one ISBN, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be a lot of money. Now, what these guys do is they always do batches. Not just Nelson, but most of them, most people that sell ISBNs or most companies that sell ISBNs, they do a bunch of batches. So you can buy one, you can buy 10, you can buy 100, and you can buy 1,000. Sometimes it's like that. Now, this one here, 10 might be $100. Again, don't quote me on this because I haven't used ISBNs in a very long time. I don't know the prices, but I just know the pricing structures. This one might be $100, but then for 10 of them, it might be $150. So you're saying, okay, well, obviously it makes more sense to get 10. It's really expensive just to get one. Now, for 100 of them, it might be, I don't know, $700. But again, it makes sense because it's just much lower value. But obviously, the 100 might be too much for you. Depends on what kind of publisher you are. But does this even matter? I tested it, and to be honest, I didn't see any difference whatsoever. I tested a bunch of ISBN numbers. I had so many books because I bought a batch of them. I just kept using them on all my books. I saw no difference. Now, I just use the free one, and I'm still making thousands of dollars a month. Because the book is quality, to be honest, no one really looks at the ISBN to determine if that's a factor, if they're going to buy the book or not. They look at so many different other things, and probably 0.01% of people are going to look at the ISBN to buy the book. So personally, I publish all of my books with Amazon's free ISBN. I don't know. It just makes everything a lot easier. I don't have to pay for extra ISBNs. I don't have to do extra work. I just click one button. I have an ISBN. I'm good to go. Because my book is quality, it just sells. So personally, I don't really consider ISBNs. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Thanks, Barry. I followed this strategy to the letter. Actually, I only have 3 reviews though. Even so, I've sold 50% of every click. Every 2 clicks, 1 order. And I'm number 1 on page for my search terms I chose. I was so nervous when I set up 3 campaigns with the same keywords for each. One went to $1.60 per click and $9 a day for each campaign. But I thought I'd try it out, and if it gets too expensive, I'd shut it down. Amazon never used all my book budget per day, not even close. Exact and phrase weren't really getting clicks, but broad match was. So I just kept that, and I just raised my book price by $1, and it's still doing well. Thanks for this, just sharing so others will give it a try and see good results too, I hope. So thanks again. Awesome. Yeah, so basically this one is basically my $5 ad strategy, $5 per day Amazon ad campaign. And the thing is, just like we talk about all the time on this channel. We want to target specific keywords, hyper-targeted keywords, because if our targeting is extremely, not narrow, but extremely targeted, extremely like sniper-like targeting, then obviously our book, our money is being spent in the correct place. Now, if we're putting all our budget in the correct place, then it's much faster to scale because we know what we're doing. Now, obviously, this person has tried it, $5 a day, and obviously they're seeing very, very good results, but that's not because the ad strategy works. It's probably because your book is good as well. Now, you just took the ad strategy with a good book, you combine it together, and you're making money. If you take that same ad strategy and apply it to a really bad book, it's probably not going to work because the foundation, your book, is not strong enough for the ads to actually have an effect. If I try to sell you a broken mirror, it doesn't matter how many people I bring, no one's going to want to buy a broken mirror. But yeah, if you want to see the ad strategy that this person's talking about, I'll leave the video right here. Oh no, the thing popped up here. I can only do the video thing in the end, but the thing popped up right here. If you click on that, it will take you straight to the video that this person's on about, and you can test out the ad strategy for yourself if you already have a good book. But yeah, thank you for this. I'm glad you found it valuable. Barry, I love the content and have watched all the videos on the channel. I genuinely appreciate that. Wow, I've got a few videos, so well done to you. I've recently started publishing. It's been 3 months. My question is, when do you expect to start getting organic sales? I've been running ads for over a month. I've got 80 sales, but not seen organic sales. That's a very good question. It's a question I get a lot. To be honest with you, most publishers just don't allow enough time to pass. Let me show you what I mean. So most of my clients, if they launch a brand new book, the first month, we usually get around 90% PPC. So only 10% organic. So this is going to be PPC. This is going to be organic. So around 10% organic. This is the first month. Now, obviously, we're going to get a bunch of PPC and very, very few organic because Amazon doesn't even know what our book is. So the first month is obviously going to be the worst because your book is at its worst. It has the lowest amount of reviews. It has the lowest amount of sales data. It's brand new. Amazon doesn't even know if it's going to work or not. It's still testing it. So obviously it makes sense that it's not going to perform amazingly well organically the first month because everything is against you. However, sometimes it does perform well organically and that's great. But most of the times with most of my clients and with the books that I've tested as well, this is what it looks like the first month, which is completely normal. Doesn't matter how many sales you gain, this is completely normal, especially for a new book. Now, what happens the second month? Well, if you do everything correctly, then in the second month, your organic should increase and your PPC percentage should go down. However, your sales should increase as well as a result of this because you did this one correctly. If you do this one correctly, this is the only way this is going to work. Now, usually in the second month, it might drop down to 70% PPC and 30% organic. Now, the publisher that's brand new is going to say, oh, that's still too much. That's still a lot. You're only on your second month. This book can be making you money for years. So you need to think about it in at least quarters. Think about your book in quarters. If you're thinking quarter one, this is quarter one, then great. Now you're thinking like a long-term publisher that's building a business. If you're thinking like, if you have a very small concept, if you don't think KDP can be big, then you're most likely thinking, hey, I need to make money my first month straight away. Otherwise, this is a shit business model and doesn't work. That's not how it works. You need to let time pass. You're building an online asset. Don't expect everything straight away. Wait for it, gather the data, and then this is what's going to happen. So 70% PPC and then 30%. And then usually on the third month, it will drop down to 60, sometimes around 50%. And then 50% organic. This is when you can actually start pulling out some profit, some good profit. Most of the times you can be profitable here. Again, if you do high content books, just like I say, you can be profitable in your second month, but usually in the third month is where you start collecting real money. And then you can start scaling further and further. Now, what I find is that if you go through this process with a new book, this is what it's going to look like most likely. And I've tested this with so many clients. I've tested it with my books. I know this works. In fact, here's one of my clients' results. This is what she sent me through her email. And you can see in May, you can see her organic was only around 20%. If you see in the next month, it was around 30%. And then in the month after that, it dropped down to 50 or it increased to 50. So that's her organic. Now she was making around 3,500 sales a month just with one book. But again, she followed the strategy and it worked. So it wasn't because she was making 3,500 sales. This works for books that are making 1 sale a day because I've tested this with my book as well. And that's exactly how it worked. And also, one thing I did is I turned off all the ads because what I wanted to do is I wanted to test out, does this still happen if you decide to relaunch ads? So that book, I ran it through my book launch strategy and everything. It went through the entire system. This is exactly what happened. And when it came here, I actually stopped the ads. Now, I let it run for a month, just organic. So the ads basically have a little pause because I wanted to retest it to see if this is still going to work with existing books. So I retested it. And what happened is once I restarted the ads, it was at this point. So I had around 70% PPC, didn't make money. And then in the next month, which is the current month, now it's right here. It's on 50%. So it still follows this system because I did everything else correctly before and I gave it the correct sales data. So then anytime I need to relaunch it, it has the data. And if I just follow this system, it works. But this is usually how long it takes for our clients. Now, obviously, once you reach this point and beyond, that's all about testing and you're analyzing your own ads. And there's not really anything I can tell you because every book is different. Every search term is different. You have different bids. You have different conversion rates. So you need to understand how to optimize your book after this. But this is usually what I see with my books and my clients' books. Doesn't matter how big or small. This is usually what we see happens with the algorithm. Anyway, let's move on to the next question. Thanks for the video. Question: why fixed bids only? When you be paying higher cost per click for the lesser search keywords, that would normally have lower suggested and actual cost. Bit confused on this. Okay, so why fixed bids? Well, what's our other option? So we have fixed bids and then we basically have down only and down and up. Now, what this does, down and up, what this does is it basically looks at your previous sales data, and then based on the previous sales data, it sees how your book performs in order to figure out what bid it's going to give you. So if you have one keyword here and another keyword here, and then you're testing these two keywords with down or down and up, then what it's going to do is if you start gathering a bunch of sales for this keyword, what Amazon is going to do is it can actually increase your bid, because you're more likely to make a sale because you already proved it with previous sales that this keyword is good. You made a bunch of sales with this keyword. So Amazon's going to start pushing your bid up so you can be shown in higher places. So if this is the search and someone is searching, I don't know, Indian cookbook, that's the example we've been using this whole video. So let's just stick with it. If someone's searching Indian cookbook, there's going to be a bunch of Indian cookbooks and one of these is going to be you. Now, if you get a bunch of sales for Indian cookbook, that tells Amazon, hey, this book sells for Indian cookbook. So when someone searches Indian cookbook, if you have down and up, then what Amazon can do is actually increase your bid. So if you were bidding here before, because you gave Amazon sales data that says, hey, your book is performing, Amazon could push you up here and then obviously increase your bid. So right here, you might be paying $1, and then right here, you might be paying $1.60. But you're number two, so you get more clicks, more growth and everything. So this works effectively, yes. When it comes to down, it will just lower it. So if this keyword is not performing good, let's say people are searching Indian cookbook, and then you're being shown here for $1.60 and you're bidding $1.60, then Amazon's going to see, hey, every time we show this book, no one really buys it. It's not performing very good for this keyword. That means when someone searches this keyword, it's just going to lower you down and push you further down because you're less likely to sell. And it will just lower your bid as well. So instead of bidding $1.60, you bid $1. And then you save money. However, when it comes to book launches, this is a terrible idea. Personally, it could work for some, but personally, I don't do this, especially during book launches. Why? Because I don't have any sales data. So Amazon doesn't know if it should increase or lower my bid. So that's one reason I use fixed bids, especially during launch. Now, obviously, if you have a bunch of sales data, sure, down and down up might work really good for you. However, there's one very important thing that you can't have with down and up, and that's control. So if you're telling them, hey, I'm willing to bid $1.50, and then they're lowering down your bid to $1.20, well, now you have no control over your bid. Amazon's just doing everything for you. Now, sure, sometimes it might save you money, but sometimes it won't. Again, you won't know because you have no control. Now, if I have fixed bids and I'm bidding $1.20, then if I see that, yeah, I'm getting sales, but this is actually at a high A cost, what I can do is actually just lower it. And if I lower it down to $1.12, then I can see, hey, my A cost actually dropped. Why? Because I have control over the bid. Or this one, if I go from $1.50 and I'm getting a high A cost, and I'm like, okay, let me just lower it. Guess what? I'm going to lower it to what? $1.40, $1.30. I'm still going to be getting $1.20 clicks because it's still just lowering my bid anyway. So you're not adjusting the A cost. But again, even if this drops, you might be showing for dollar clicks, and then other times you'll be showing for $1.30 clicks. So now you don't even know what bid you're supposed to have to be profitable. It's all just mixed. If you have 10 clicks, then one of those clicks might have cost you $1 and the other one cost you $1.30. And maybe the $1.30 one is the one that got you the sale and the $1 one is the one that's giving you the high A cost. So you never know. You have no control. You have no idea what's happening. But when it's fixed bids, then you have complete control over your bid. Now, the good thing is if you have fixed bids and then you bid high, then great. You could show up extremely high in the search results. If you have down only, especially during launch, then you're giving Amazon permission to not really push you. Like, it won't know what to do because you have no sales data. So it's kind of like you're limiting your growth. With fixed bids, because you're sure and you're telling Amazon, hey, this is how much I want to bid for this keyword, then you give it permission and you have control and it can start actually pushing you. So if I'm reaching this many people with fixed bids, if I just launch with down only, I might be reaching this many people. So I'm not spending as effectively. I'm not doing the maximum amount of reach for my book. Now, again, it all depends on your budget and your targeting, but if you're using fixed bids, and you know that at $1.10, you don't really show up very high, you're not really converting, and you're right here, you're going to be getting slow sales. Now, even if you are converting good, let's say you are converting really good. So you're bidding $1.10 and you have a really low ACOS. You have like 15% ACOS and you have 3 sales. So it means, hey, this is a very profitable thing. What would I do? Increase the bid. Why? Because if you're on the bottom of the page, do you know who gets the most amount of clicks? The top 3 people. They get 80% of the clicks. Okay, so if you're placed in one of the top 3 people, you're getting the most amount of clicks. You're getting 4 times more clicks than if you're shown under the first 3 people. So you get 4 times more clicks. Well, if you get 4 times more clicks, then that means you get 4 times more sales. Now, if you're getting 4 times more sales, well, that means you're growing 4 times faster. And guess what? Is Amazon gonna respect your book and like your book more and push you in the correct places if you're getting 4 times more growth? Probably, yes. Because you're growing 4 times faster, you're getting 4 times more sale. So it's gonna put you much, much higher in the search results. And then you're obviously gonna get a much higher organic reach. Now, if you're going slow and steady with down only right at the launch, then you're not reaching as many people, and then you're getting slow sales, and Amazon is not pushing you organically quickly. But I'm using fixed bids, I'm bidding high, I'm being shown high, especially if my ACOS is low, I'm being shown high, I'm getting all the sales, and because I'm growing so fast, Amazon pushes my book so fast. That's how I was able to make over $1,000 in profit monthly within the first 45 days over launching a brand new book. So I launched a brand new book, and within 45 days, it became profitable and was steadily making over $1,000 a month. And this is why, because I used fixed bids, because I went hard on the keywords that actually mattered, and then obviously my book just grew from there. But yeah, I hope this answers your question. Now, I'm sure you have a bunch of other questions. If you do, please leave them in the comments down below. I reply to every single one of your comments, and who knows, your question might be the next one in the next Q&A. But yeah, leave your questions down below. Obviously, if you want to work with me, just go in the description, click on the link, you'll know what to do. And if you want to watch another Q&A, then click on this video right here. You're going to find this super, super valuable. One of the best Q&As I've ever done. But yeah, go out there and make a bunch of money on KDP.